Scroll and Sword, welcome back. Sometimes being right becomes the wrong thing. We just read 1 Corinthians 5 through 7, and I want to focus in on chapter 6, verses 1 through 8, especially the part where it teaches us that when proving your point can actually destroy your witness. In chapter 6, verses 1 through 8, Paul confronts believers for taking one another to court before unbelievers. This is wild. This is crazy. We're going to church together. We're in the same church building together, and dozens of people in the same room are just casually, it's Sunday. It's on Resurrection Sunday, and on the Monday, we're going to go to court, and we're just going to hash it out a little bit in the public square and prove our points. And, the problem here isn't just conflict, because conflict needs to happen in relationships. The problem is Christians trying to prove each other wrong in front of the entire world, because Paul is setting this point up to saying your public witness will be damaged if all you do is fight in the world. And Paul says it would be better to be wronged or defrauded than to drag your family of God into public shame. So if your need to prove someone hurts you becomes bigger than your witness, you are already losing. You're already losing. If your rights are more important than your witness, you are already losing. Anthony Thistleton points out that Paul is not just denying justice for Christians, but he's exposing how status, how shame, and public victory, they were shaping the Corinthian believers more than the cross. When winning becomes the goal, Christ-likeness gets pushed to the side. The surprising cultural detail that I found in my studies is that lawsuits in Corinth were often public contests of honor, reputation, and social power. Paul is confronting a church that had baptized the world's way of proving superiority. It's an honor competition. We are in the city of Corinth, and we got to be the most bougie. We got to be the most honored person in our society. And if somebody else wronged us, we have to prove them wrong in front of everybody else. That's how they operated. Instead of asking, how do I prove they were wrong? Paul presses them to ask, what does love require from me? Christian maturity, which is what we're going to talk about a lot in the letters to the Corinth church. Christian maturity is not proven by winning an argument, but by laying down the need to actually win the argument. It's a cross-shaped response. And Paul's deeper concern is that believers who belong to Christ should not treat one another like enemies to defeat. I don't care how they crossed you. If they are repentant to Christ and attempting to live a life for Him, I'm not talking about being perfect. I'm not talking about crossing every T and dotting every I that you have given. Then I'm talking about if they are blood bought by Christ and they have accepted Him as Savior and they are living a life of discipleship, submitted to a local church and a pastor, you just wanting to be right. If that is the biggest concern of your life, you are being defeated. And if the church becomes a courtroom of accusations, if it's just constantly church member against church member, throwing pastors in the middle, it stops looking like a family of reconciliation. It starts to look like, I know you guys have seen that game, Family Feud. It's like, goodness gracious, it's just one family against another in the same room, in the same church. So right is not always the same as being righteous. And sometimes the most Christ-like thing you can do is stop trying to win the case and start protecting the witness of Christ. We've heard it said, be the bigger person, but I would submit to you this morning, be the most Christ-like, cross-following person if you are in a conflict. Love you all. See you in the discussion room.